Again, a new month, a new welcome, I suppose. A week Sunday is Remembrance. The Society will be represented at the service of Remembrance, and our President Di Thomas will be laying the wreath here at the cenotaph. Also, there are 3 display cases in the library, and they now have displays in them related to Remembrance locally and nationally. So if you're in the library, pop in and have a look. They're right down the end by the fire exit. So, you know, if you get that far, you can go out that way. 2025 calendars are on sale tonight, and they will continue to be on sale at future meetings. Well, it's only one more this year, so December. And also the community market and the church in December. 100 years ago, a peace petition was signed by almost 400,000 women in Wales. And last month I appealed for help to know if any of your forebears may have been involved in that. Well, part of that display that I mentioned in the library relates to that. We have had some success, but if you weren't here last month, then if you do have any information, then please come forward. Now, I've been given another note as well. It says, "Dear Richard," that can't be me. Please can you appeal to the membership for help? Please, does anybody remember a Mr. Charles William Walker, born in Durham in 1919 and thought to have died in Rhuddlan in October 1992? Do you remember this gentleman? He may have worked as a miner, that is underground, not a small person. If you have any details or memory of Charles, again, please get in touch. Next month, December the 6th, here at 7 p.m, we welcome Peter Robinson. He'll be bringing us up to date on the work of the RNLI in its 200th anniversary year. Tonight, we welcome Chris Davidson. He's going to talk to us about the history and the work of the Salvation Army. Chris, welcome.
Thank you very much. Just trying to work out. Oh, there we go. I'm on. You can hear me quite well. I'll bring it down a little bit. And I'll work with some muffled. Yeah, it's good to see you. We're looking forward to this. And I do apologise to a couple who are here this evening. They might know quite a lot of what I'm going to be saying. So hopefully we'll let you try and give you a glimpse of what the Salvation Army is about and what we're doing at the moment and what we've done in the past as well. So that relates to your group. I'm Major Chris Davidson. I'm at the Salvation Army in Rhuddlan and the commanding officer, that's what they call us. I run the church and also the community centre there. So I always usually like to ask at the beginning, when you hear the organisation, the Salvation Army, what comes to mind? What comes into your mind straight away when you mention the Salvation Army?
Going around the pubs.
Helping people, going around the pubs? Yeah. Homeless? Yeah. Anything else?
Brass bands.
Brass bands. Glad you said that, because I like brass bands.
That gentleman there.
Old William Booth there. Yeah, he started it all off. We'll talk about him in just a moment. Yeah, it's various things, and you've probably just come into it. I don't know. You come into contact with the Salvation Army, maybe through your lives in different guises and things like that. Whether or not you're donating things to us to help, but the Salvation Army is many things, and we'll try and touch on that this evening and talk about those things as well. If you've any questions, just put your hand up, and I don't mind being interrupted. It saves my voice, but if you don't understand anything or just want something clarifying, just ask, and we'll try and get through as quickly as possible. They said I've only got an hour. Me. I usually go on a bit more than that, don't I, Alan?
You do?
Yeah, I do, yeah. He has to put up with me on a Sunday as well. So. Well, William Booth, he started it all, apparently. William Booth, he was an interesting character. A man way ahead of his time. And he really did, there we go, a different picture of him there, a bit younger. He was born in 1829, so he's in the poor part of Nottingham. And he came from a poor family. He had to work, as they did, you will know, to start working very early. So at 13 he was in a pawnbroker's shop. And it introduced him to a lot of poor people who had to sell their possessions just to survive. And that's the way of life it was. The pawnbrokers, yeah, it's the signs and things like that. So if they didn't pawn things, then they wouldn't eat and they wouldn't have the clothing. So William decided that he wanted to help people, and he had a real passion for that. William Booth grew up in Victorian England, and in those days life was difficult. And while the rich got richer, the poor got poorer. That's the way it was. The medical treatment, the NHS, wasn't around. People was too sick to go to work. They didn't get paid. It was a hard life, hard society to be in. And children, well, put to work as soon as they were able and to work. And it was hard, wasn't it? Long days, a lot of work. And people were paid unfair wages. But there was no way out of it. For a lot of people, that's the way it was. And that's the kind of life that William Booth came into. William Booth made a promise to God, and when he was a teenager he was converted to Christianity. And he made a promise, because of this, he had a passion for the homeless, for the people who are the poor, and he said, God shall have all there is of William Booth. And it's quite an important moment in his life, because it set his standard for the rest of his life, and what he achieved as well, and what he went on to do. He went down to London after being in Nottingham for a while. He became a Methodist minister, got married, had 8 children, of course. It was big families in those days, which was very common. His wife, Catherine, was very important in his life as well. Again, a very forthright lady, and she was a Christian who loved God and wanted to serve him, of course, as well. And she supported William. But she did a lot more than that. She wasn't one of these women who just stood back, which was the case in those days. She became a preacher, quite a very good preacher as well, herself, which is unusual for women at that time. The Salvation Army has always used women in their ministry and officers. My wife is an officer in her own right, and we've used women to preach ever since we started. She wanted equal rights. It was coming into that time, wasn't it? And she designed the flag, uniform, so she had a big influence on the army. And she worked with alcoholics and started her own campaigns as well. So very early on, we were helping the people with addictions, and life hasn't changed that much, unfortunately. Catherine Booth became known as the Army Mother. And when she died in 1890, her funeral was one of the largest that Victorian London had ever seen. So how did the Salvation Army come into intervening? William Booth travelled around England preaching. He was a great preacher. He attracted people. People wanted to listen, and they were hungry for the message, for the gospel message, because they thought, well, is this a way out of poverty maybe? He was preaching outside, in 1865, he was preaching outside a pub in the East End of London, and some Christians invited him to preach in a large tent. a nomadic preacher kind of thing, roaming around, just whenever he got the opportunity, he wanted to preach the gospel. And what happened was he preached in these large tent missions, and then converted lots of people, and the came to him, what do we do now? So he said, well, he'd go to the local churches and things like that and join with them. Unfortunately, the churches at that day was upper class, and in most of the churches you had to pay for your pews, and you got a little box area sometimes, or just paid for the pews, and woe betide you if you sat on that pew. You know, if you came and sat in his place tonight, ooh, dear me, you weren't welcome. And these poor people who William Booth had converted would say, well, you can sit at the back. You know, you can sit at the back. Not made welcome at all. So they didn't like that, so they went back to William Booth and said, look, we want to stay with you. And William Booth had never his intention to start a church or, you know, to keep the people going like that. So he had a dilemma. But Booth realised he'd found his destiny. His people wanted to be with him. So he formed his own movement. It's called the Christian Mission. The Christian Mission. In 1878, the name of the Christian Mission was changed to the Salvation Army. And they do say that William Booth was with his son, and they were looking over the things about the Christian mission at that time, and they're trying to work out a new name. A lot of people had called William Booth the General, because military was very much in vogue at that time, and so the military states, they saw him as a top man, so they called him the General. And we were battling around names, and somebody said, well, what about the volunteer army? Or something like that. If you're the general, and one of his sons said, I'm not a volunteer, I'm here to bring salvation to people. So he crossed out the name volunteer and put salvation, because that's what his mission was, to bring salvation to the people. And so that's how they say we got our name. And so we took on military terms. People were inspired by the idea of an army fighting against evil, against all the wrong that was in the world at that time. He believed that God wanted him to do something. And so members started to wear uniforms and went out on the streets telling people about God's love. And it spread. It really did spread very quickly in those early days into other cities around the United Kingdom. And William Booth still had a passion though. He still had a passion. His faith, he always wanted to put it into action. And this passion for the poor and needy. Another famous quote says, a man will not, unless if his stomach is hungry, he's not going to listen to you very, very much, is he? You have to meet his physical needs first, and then he'll be open to listening. And I think, I always believe that helping somebody practically is showing God's love anyway. You're reaching out in love to him. So that William Booth wanted to do that, and he believed that God wanted him to do something to help people he was preaching to. With the help of his son Bramwell, and William Booth began to set up cheap food stores. He set up shelters for the homeless to sleep in, and cheap breakfast for poor children. People visited the elderly and sick. They reached out into the community, saw that people who couldn't get out needed help. They'd do the shopping for them. They'd clean their houses for them. But William Booth Herbert Booth, and all these William Booth's sons and things like that, the family was so passionate about helping people, still wanted to do more. He wanted to find permanent solutions to poverty. He did, as I said, William Booth was quite a forward thinker. He really acted quick. He was very influential in the city of London. He got some he got some good friends, some wealthy friends, to help him to proclaim his mission. One of the things was, the problem at that time was, people worked for match factories, and these were some of the worst conditions there were. And they worked for low wages, didn't give the workers tea or lunch breaks, and the chemicals they used to make matches caused death. The phosphorus got into their bones, and it caused phossy-jaw. It went there, and they would glow in the night, and it would cause death. But the employees didn't matter as long as they got their matches done. So William Booth said, I'm going to do something about this. He targeted this. He set up his own match factory, which was well lit, used safe chemicals, and he paid fair wages to workers. He also campaigned for a change in the law and encouraged shopkeepers to stock his matches. He started safety matches. And so he put everybody out, the other people out of business, because he sold them cheaper, and he encouraged all the shopkeepers to put in these safety matches. And so he campaigned for that and was very successful. All the other match factories were forced to improve their conditions or they would go out of business. And once that had happened, once he'd solved that problem, Booth, he closed the factory and achieved his aim. So he left his mark on that and he moved on to something else. That was the way he was, and sorted it out. He also was outlined a way out for darkest England. He wrote a book with that title, In Darkest England and the Way Out. It was a forerunner, and it outlined the plans for social reform. He tried to look at it all and try and work out. He planned to set up a farm colony where the poor and destitute could learn new skills and get back into employment. And we still have in Hadley, in Essex, we have a farm down there which it's a farm where people work the land, and it's also a training place to get people back into work, to give them skills and to get back into the work life. Missing Persons Bureau, we help people get back with families together, and a very successful way to do that. We've been highlighted in the news and sometimes things like that. I think it has about over 90% success rate as well, which is excellent. He created more hostels for the homeless, and he set up a poor man's bank as well. So people could get a bank account and give loans for workers to set up for there if they want to do something as well. Amazing, isn't it? In all those days. 90 years later, the Salvation Army had sent 27 million cheap meals, traced 18,000 missing people, provided shelter for 11 million homeless people, and found jobs for 9,000 unemployed people. He made a difference. I think people would say it was a practical Christianity. He wasn't afraid of rolling up his sleeves and doing some work and being out there with the people. And I hope that's still reflected today. William Booth's last speech in 1912, he made a speech, a very famous speech, which is, I think I have it on record, but it's on a 78 record, but it's on 3 records, because you only can put so much on it, and so they had to put it onto 3, and you have to stop it, and it's great. To hear the crackles and the atmosphere at the Royal Albert Hall. But he said something on this line. He said a goodbye. He's going into dry dock for repairs, but the army will not be allowed to suffer. He still wanted people to carry on the work, that the army will answer every doubt, banish every fear, and strangle every slander, and by its marvellous success, show the world that it is the work of God and that the general has been his servant. He also said these words, "While women weep, as they do now, I'll fight. While little children go hungry, as they do now, I'll fight. While men go into prison, in and out, as they do now, I'll fight. While there is a drunkard left, while there is a poor lost girl upon the streets, while there remains one dark soul without the light of God, I'll fight." This was a challenge he gave to the thousands of people in the Royal Albert Hall. I'll fight to the very end. That was his testimony, but it was also a challenge to the rest of the Salvation Army as well, to continue the fight against the evil and the wrongs in the world at that time. William Booth, he died on the 20th of August 1912, and the army at that time was spread to 50 countries around the world, setting up pretty much the same kind of thing, helping people and spreading the gospel. He brought London to a standstill at his funeral, and such was his impact in the society at that time. And of course, 1912, World War I was just around the corner, unfortunately. And the Salvation Army saw it as an opportunity to continue that work as well. And we got on the front lines. So what did the Salvation Army do on the front line? There's a few images there which represent what we did. We went into the hospitals for the injured. The Salvation Army visited wounded soldiers in the hospital. They often gave them gifts, you know, those little things like chocolates or toiletries or writing paper to write back to families, or even wrote letters themselves to dictate it to and sent them as well to reassure families, which was a great help to the soldiers at that time. We would be giving out the Bibles, we'd be offering to pray with them, and they wanted to bring a bit of happiness to these soldiers who were in a bad way and help them recover. And lots of testimonies about mothers receiving those letters. Somebody once said, "I can hardly find words to express my feelings towards you and your army for the visits paid to my son and the comforting letters that were sent to her as well. And long may you continue to do it." We also went out onto the front line, used army field kitchens. The conditions, of course, were difficult. The trenches were dangerous, they were so close to the front, and worked very long hours as well. A group of American Salvation Army girls one day only had flour, fat and sugar for food, so they decided to make donuts. Donuts were hugely popular with the soldiers, and some of the soldiers would queue up waiting for the next time they were going to be made. And thousands were made daily from the simple mixture, but it was a welcome sight with that nice cup of tea or coffee. The donut girls, they were called the donut lasses, as they were well known as well. So it's right onto the field kitchens. Also, we set up huts around in where people could come for drinks, food and a chat. And it was a place where they could come and feel as homely as possible. And there's nothing. We have a song in the Salvation Army which says there's nothing like an army cup of tea. And when you're on the front, I think, you know, I love my tea. And the people at the army there, they don't ask me if I want a cup of tea, they just bring it to me constantly. I love my tea. And I can't imagine what it'd be like if you'd been on the front and just coming back into that hut and receiving a nice cup of tea. The people there were offering not just the food and the drinks. Of course, they were offering the comfort, a chat, talking it through, praying with people, and just be coming alongside them. And it was very much, I don't know how they did it. They got into some amazing places, right near the front as well, and risked their lives. Of course, that continues today in many forces or camps around in Germany and in other parts. I worked on an RAF base down south for 6 years. I ran the canteen there, and it was great to go with and just sit with people as well and talk things through. Some coming back, the places that I was at, they go out to Afghanistan and do their time across there and come back very much a different person to when they went out. So it's a lot of talking, a lot of just listening and helping them, praying with them, much needed as well, as it was, of course, there, running the huts of the soldiers. They're driving the ambulances as well. Salvation Army raised money to buy ambulances, and they were driven by Salvation Army members and worked under the direction of the Red Cross. And of course, just transporting people around from the train, just getting out from the, if they're going home and things like that, and they were injured, needed help, then the wounded would be transported in Salvation Army ambulances. And incredible the resources they got, and much needed. Other things that we did, helping soldiers in the letter writing, which was an important thing. We don't do many letter writing. I can't think last time I actually sat down and wrote a letter. It's all emails, isn't it? I just come back off holiday and hundreds of emails there waiting for me to go through, and letter writing. But isn't it wonderful when you receive a letter? Isn't it nice when somebody's taken the time to write a letter? And it's wonderful. So we help the soldiers do that. We were holding, of course, holding services, and there's many Christians who've been gone into service, so we held the services there. Our brass bands, many the bandsmen were drafted into service, so they managed to get instruments from somewhere, and form bands and entertain the troops as well. There's somebody there with a squeeze box as well. Just that offering a tea in the chat. So important, a simple thing, but means a lot. Repairing the uniforms for soldiers, and they have to be smart, didn't they? Also be in trouble. So if they got any holes and things like that, ends need dealing, then we'd be there. The ladies, I say the ladies. Very sexist to say that these days, but the uniforms were repaired for them by somebody anyway. So there you go. So that's just a glimpse of what the army was doing there. It's incredible. When I read more and more about what the Salvation Army did during the war, I don't know how they did it. They were on the train stations when people were coming home. Just again welcoming them, making sure they got transport back to their families and things like that. A friendly face to welcome them as well. So I don't know how this is going to work, but I've got a video, but I forgot my little boom box. So if I can put this microphone somewhere, let's see if I can.
Salvation Army at Rhuddlan has been in Wales for 150 years.
Hang on. Let's try this again. Let's go back. Let's find the volume as well. Okay, thank you. I'll put that up. I don't know where it's coming out. Okay, let's do this. Now it doesn't want to work. Modern technology, eh? Isn't it wonderful? Come on. You did it once. You can do it again. Right, here we go. Maybe we don't want to see that one then. Okay. Oh.
Salvation Army, but video has been here in Wales.
Sorry about that.
Video.
That's not going to work. Sorry about that. A bit of feedback. Yeah. Okay. I'll try and tell you what it was saying anyway. There we go. Okay. We'll try.
Try something else.
All right. We'll put the lights back on because I won't be able to show the video, unfortunately. I'll do it next time. What it was saying that in Wales this year, we are celebrating 150 years of the Salvation Army being just in Wales. And so we've been having lots of celebrations for it, and we've been getting together, but we've been praying as well, non-stop through in different places. A box has been going right around Wales to all the different centres and Salvation Armies. We were the first ones to start it off early on in the year, I think it was, wasn't it? Yeah, so and it's been going round. And so 150 years. I mean, the Salvation Army's been going longer than that, but they managed to get across the border, and Wales let us in eventually. And so 150 years, and we're still going strong. So what the video is saying, right from the north, where we are in Rhuddlan, went down to Swansea, Cardiff, and all the rest of it, we're still going strong. And our mission is still the same. The Salvation Army, when I asked you that question right at the beginning, about what does the Salvation Army mean to you, we are first and foremost a church. And that's what motivates, that's what drives all that we do. And it's just following the example of what Jesus said. The Salvation Army is a Christian movement dedicated to sharing the love of Jesus by caring for people, creating faith pathways, trying to create a way in so they can explore their faith, building healthy communities, and working for justice. All this is what Jesus tried to do in his life on earth. He cared for people, and he's bringing people together. So, yeah, caring for people, being there where people need us most. What's happening? Sorry about that. Okay. We offer care and compassion as a sacred encounter. And we want to transform people as well. Because we believe that God created human beings in his own image. In the image of God, he created them, male and female, he created them. And he created them to live in a world to enjoy fellowship with him as well. And we want to continue doing that here in this area as well. I did have another video, but we'll have to pass that one by as well. But
The Salvation Army's Red Shield. It's one of the most well-known look.
okay, there it is. So what do we do in Rhuddlan and here? It's okay talking about the past, which is great because you're a history group. You want to know about all that, and there is certainly a lot more. I've just scratched the surface. But what it's relevant, it has to be relevant still today. And that's difficult, isn't it? In a society that has changed so much from the days that when William Booth created the Salvation Army to today's life as well. Unfortunately, there are still a lot of the same problems. There's still poverty, despite the budget, and the promise of great things by this new government, and I shouldn't mix politics with religion, should we? So I'll leave that straight away. But the problems are in society. And people are addicted, and people struggle to feed themselves, to feed their families, to clothe them as well. So we at Rhuddlan Salvation Army Church and Community Centre try and alleviate that. We're in Windsor Street in Rhuddlan. If you know Rhuddlan at all, we're tucked away in the corner there, down the side street, but still very active. We've got a lovely suite of buildings. It's from the outside, it doesn't look very big, but once you go inside, we've got two levels. So we've got a lovely reception area as you walk in, a kitchen which serves both rooms downstairs as well, and so we do lots of food. There's another room round down the bottom there, and all we want to do is do what Jesus said: love your neighbour as yourself. I like simple things because I'm a simple person. Okay, I don't like to complicate my religion. I just like to say, love one another. And I think the world would be a better place if that was taken on board by people. Not think about just themselves all the time, but think about others. And love your neighbour as yourself. And care for the person, without the discrimination. And what we want to do at Rhuddlan Salvation Army, we want to help people know Jesus as a friend and saviour, and we want to reach out to meet their spiritual and practical needs. So in addition to our service on a Sunday, of course, at 10:30, you're very welcome to pop in any time, and on a Sunday morning, and you'll see Alan and Brenda there, and see myself there as well, and sing along with the band and listen to our choir as well. But we have a food bank which is supported by our members and also donations from the public. We can offer shower facilities as well, and that's well used during the week. If people come in still homeless, come into us and they've been sleeping out, we would offer them a shower, but we don't want to put the same clothes back on, so we'll take them into our charity shop and get them a new set of clothing, and a full set as well, so you feel a lot better in that way. A lot of the other agents we don't work independently, we work with all the other agencies around in the area, and they will ask us for furniture, for clothing, and the good thing about our charity shop, it's all run by volunteers, so we don't have any overheads in that sense, just to keep the building open, but we have a great team of volunteers, so that allows us to give things away as well. We get it all donated, so we act as the middleman, and we give it out whenever it's needed by referrals from other agencies. So it's a very busy place during the week, and lots of things. We offer an anti-trafficking rest centre. The police will ring us up, and they might target various establishments, businesses to check the staff and the legal part of it. And if they need to bring them somewhere, they might ring me up and say, can we use your hall tonight, just to hold people for a little while. So we work with the police as well. With the council, the Housing First Department, so they will, they will refer people to us for the food bank if they want some food, or if they just want somewhere for them to come and chat to them, interview them, get to know them a bit more. We'll offer them a cup of tea and give them a bit of a warm space, and trying to improve them. And then if we can give any extra help through our other agencies, they will be passed on with that as well. We have another arm of the Salvation Army called our Employment Plus. Alison works for us, and she works from our Salvation Army in Rhuddlan, and it's helping them to do CVs, job interviews. If they're going for an interview and they haven't got suitable clothing, we'll take them into the charity shop, give them a suit or something like that, or a shirt and a tie, which a lot of the young people don't have these days, So just to we'll help them with interview skills, and we can set them up with bank accounts as well now. We have a relationship with HSBC where we can act as the go-between and give people bank accounts. You can't do much if you can't get online or you don't have a bank account, because all your benefits are paid into bank accounts. So, you know, we try and help them. And I was in the bank the other day and I behind a lady, and she must have been about well in her 80s. And she's talking to the counter staff and said, "Can I open an account?" He said, "Of course you can. You just have to go online and do it there." She said, "Well, can I speak to somebody?" We don't offer that anymore. We don't offer face-to-face interviews. See, and there's a big queue was going, "What?" Poor lady just wanted to open an account, and yeah, it's all online. So computer skills, we will help them with. We have computers in there and programs which they can go on, and a digital hub, because we live in a digital world. There we go. So we can help people get back into work, and that's great as well. Woody's Lodge come into our building as well. I don't know if you've heard of Woody's Lodge. No? Yeah? Okay. It's a drop-in for veterans, and it's great on a Tuesday morning, and veterans from all the forces, they don't just have the RAF or the Navy or anything like that. It's just a safe place for them to come and meet and chat with other veterans and talk about things and help them through. It started with a chap called Woody, I can't remember his surname, but he wanted just to create a place in the out and about, in a safe place, out in the woods, a hut for people to come in and just to meet. And he got so popular that they branched out and use other buildings now, not just huts. And so the veterans come together, and there's always some food there as well. They always have bacon butties or cakes and things like that. So I often pop in myself, because you have to, don't you? It's one of the pets in the shop. It's just have to do it for relationships. But they're a great bunch as well. A great bunch of people. They refer people. So some of their veterans are just coming and have found themselves really low and they need help. We've helped quite a lot with furniture, getting back into flats and things like that. So that's been really good liaison between us in that. It goes back to the war times as well. Kaleidoscope also use our building. They are a substance misuse service provider. When people come out of jail, they have to keep clean. So they are tested by the people at Kaleidoscope. They offer trained nurses, counselling staff, and probation. All those people are in our building as well. So they run projects right across Wales. Massive organisation, fantastic, and so they use our building, and we have a great relationship with them as well. The STEP programme. A couple of years ago, the council put out a tender for people to bid to run a programme to help people in the community. Salvation Army bid for that, and we got the contract. So we employ people just to support and empower people. We come alongside them and help them with the budgeting, teach them cooking skills and just life skills, really. Help them get back on their feet, whether or not that's in the hotels or their accommodation, wherever it might be in Rhuddlan or in surrounding areas, we will come alongside them and help them. The contract was supposed to be that the council would give us some accommodation, but that hasn't materialised yet after 2 years. The council have dragged their feet on that one, but they're supposed to get some accommodation for 24 single people and 8 families. So we, the Salvation Army, will run that. I needed prayers on this one. Hopefully in the next few months we will get some accommodation, so we'll be able to move people out of those hotels where they still are into some kind of accommodation where we can keep an eye on them 24/7 and help them along. So we have about 12, 13 people employed, and they work from the Salvation Army in Rhuddlan, and it's a great bunch of people. We can help each other, and it's a busy place. It's a busy place, but it was wonderful. Well, there it is. 24 single people and 8 families. Cuffley Cymru, another support group. Aims, again, recovery from substance, alcohol misuse, mental health. They have a drop-in, they have on a Wednesday afternoon, I think it is, they teach people to cook. And so again, it's food. It's hard life, being at the Salvation Army. And they often say, would you like to try it? And I say, well, it might be rude not to, wouldn't it? Really. So they get people in from the community. What a lot of time they do is the food parcels that we give out, they will take a food parcel and see what they can do with it and how they can eke it out. Maybe make a pasta, which you can leave and it kind of gets better after a few days. Pasta bakes and things like that. So it's a great program. And again, they're just sitting down with them and helping them fill forms in and things like that. So they're in as well. So we're trying to help people know Jesus, friend and Saviour, but reaching out in a practical way and a spiritual way as well. And so we're trying to go back to our roots, in a sense. Trying to go back to our roots. And that's our vision. Our vision for really is to provide a hub, a one-stop place where people can come in, feel safe, and be welcomed, for volunteers to come alongside people, build up those relationships, show God's love, and a place to learn new skills, and for them just to be, their life improved. William Booth started that. We're back in Victorian England, and we're still doing it. We're doing it because there's still the same social problems. There's a lot of addictions, so many addictions. And people come to us. They got addicted to either alcohol or drugs, or the mental health is a big problem as well. So we just try and provide a place to them. On a Wednesday morning, we just open up the doors and say, look, come in, have a cup of tea, a slice of toast. Brenda and Alan are often there, just to come alongside and talk to people and be there for them. So that's what we try and do. That's the Salvation Army. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, all your mind. The second is love your neighbour as yourself. I like it. It's simple. Love your neighbour, and that ticks all the boxes for me. And it's a wonderful place. I don't call it work. It's a vocation for me. I love going down to the hall because we can make a difference in people's lives. And if we can do that, then it's all been worthwhile as well. Whether or not that's just praying with people, or giving them a food bank, give them a shower, a new set of clothes, whatever it is, we will try. And if we can't help, we'll find somebody who can. And, so that's what, I think that's about all that. Oh, not too bad. I've got some time for some questions. I've bombarded you with loads of stuff. Unfortunately, we couldn't get the videos working, but that would have just taken us just there. Yeah?
Where do the veterans meet in?
Where? They use one of our rooms in the Salvation Army. Yeah, the meeting downstairs. We have 2 lovely rooms downstairs, which you can just walk straight into, and they'll use the back room, so with all the settees. They have the comfy
Can I just say, you're doing an absolutely marvellous job.
Thank you very much. Well, it's not me, it's the big team. Yeah. And it's working together, I think, as well. I think that's an important thing, that we're working together with lots of other agencies. We can provide something. We've got the hall, but we're allowing others people to come in and help. We also have just started on a Wednesday night, Archway project, which is a Christian-based group, again, to help people who've been affected by addictions, either alcohol or drugs. And so they meet as well. A lovely group, and based, I think it started at Kindle Bay Baptist Church. So they're an offshoot of that, but they use our hall and on a Wednesday and a Sunday as well. Lots of things happening. It's great. And that's what we want.
When people are really rock bottom,
Yeah.
it's wonderful that they know they can go there and
Yeah,
be welcomed.
that's what we're trying to do. And most people know where we are now.
Yeah.
And a lot of people feel safe coming into the building. And that's why I need a bigger building, because so many agencies have seen how welcome it is and how much help they can get from, not just from us, but from a variety of people with lots of skills. And so that's why they're trying to use rooms. So we need to get some more rooms up and build some more rooms. I need a lot more parking spaces as well, but that's another thing.
It's a great charity shop. Anything you want, you can find in there.
It's not bad actually, is it? Yeah, and it's cheap.
And they're so helpful.
Yeah, they are. They're good
If you
bunch.
need something, they'll help you. You know, it's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. Good charity shop. Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. Okay, if you're popping by. Yep, sorry.
You've referred to
Monday, Wednesday,
the
Friday.
meeting place as the hall.
Yeah.
Not the Citadel anymore.
Yeah, we used to call them citadels, yeah, the Salvation Army Citadel. Some are still called that. I don't know why it's gone away from that really, but a citadel, I used to thought it was quite imposing and a bit off-putting when you come to the Salvation Army Citadel, you know, but maybe not. But our worship hall is at the top, on the second floor. We have a lift for those if you can't manage the stairs and things. But we meet upstairs and every Sunday morning. So, I'm going again. I'll move over here. So that's it's
Windsor Street.
Windsor Street, yeah, in Rhuddlan, just before you get to just off Wellington Road. Yeah. But yeah, we meet every Sunday morning, and so it's just had our harvest, and we celebrate, and it's a good service as well.
Any of the Booth family still connected with Salvation Army?
Yes, there are descendants, yes, still some descendants around. With it being a large family, a lot of them dispersed. Booth sent them all over the place to start the work. Some went to India, some went to America, and so they were quite a fractured family in the end. But some of them continued the work. Some of them started their own churches as well, and but yeah, there are still descendants around. Yes, definitely.
And there are lots of homeless in Rome.
Yes, there are. When COVID came along, the council's pledge was to get everybody off the streets. So they used a lot of the hotels as temporary accommodation, so they put them straight into the hotels. Unfortunately, a lot of them are still there. Even, how long ago is that? The Westminster Hotel and the Imperial, lots of them on the front there are still full of people in temporary accommodation. So that's why we're desperate to get this accommodation promised by the council, so we can move people on from that, because they're not good places. Because we put a lot of people with a lot of problems, a lot of addictions, together in one place. And a lot of people have been in those places and been harassed, and they certainly know when people get their benefits, and so they know that when people get lots of money, so that the people are targeted. If you're vulnerable, you can be targeted in those areas, and so it's not a good place. So we're trying to stop that cycle. It's hard when the people get into that cycle to get them out of it as well. So it'd be great when we can get this accommodation and move them on, hopefully. They're doing it slowly, but there's not a lot of suitable housing in Rhuddlan, unfortunately, at the moment. So it's difficult, but yeah. Yep.
Are you still doing your Christmas lunch for people?
Yes, Christmas Day. Yeah, we will be running a lunch for people if they're on their own. If you know of anybody, please get in touch with us. And it's open to anybody. If you're on your own, or you just want, want to come along for a bit of comfort there, we have a service at 10 o'clock on Christmas Day, a short service celebrating the birth of Christ, and then we invite people to stay and you'll have lots of food. Yeah. Well, how long's a piece of string? You know, I don't mind. We've got a big building, even if we do it in 2 sittings, we'll feed you, so don't worry about that. And people are very generous to the Salvation Army during the Christmas time as well. We also run a Christmas present appeal as well, and for food parcels. Last year we did 300 parcels for children and food parcels, and everybody who got a food parcel got toys and biscuits and just the extras that people, you know, sometimes go without at Christmas time, the chocolates for the kids and things like that. So we give those out. Yeah.
Are you looking for volunteers? Because there might be a few here that like to volunteer.
If you want to volunteer on Christmas Day, please get in touch. You can get in touch beforehand because, as always, I need to fill forms out for volunteers. I can't just accept people these days. That's the way of the world, and for the right reasons. And so we've got to be careful. And so if you want to come along, it's a very simple form, and come along. Pop into the Salvation Army anytime. I'm usually around. If I'm not, somebody will help you. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry.
This information is probably online somewhere, so I'm sorry for asking. But for the food bank donations,
Yeah.
when are you open for those?
We run a referral system where if all the agencies around the town will know us, we are registered with the job centre, so they will refer people to us. So we don't actually open up a food bank like some of the Ford centres. For donations.
To the shop.
Yeah.
The opening times of working
Right.
I have to like rush over in my lunchtime to drop it off.
Charity shops open on a Monday, a Wednesday and a Friday, 10 till 2:30, and then early close on a Friday. And if you want to bring any donations or anything like that in, please do so there. And if you can't make it on those times, there's usually somebody there to take your donations in. So don't worry about that. But the food bank is all referrals. We had our harvest last week where we asked our members to bring in. A lot of people in the hotels don't have cooking facilities, so they only have a kettle and at the most a microwave. So we look for pot noodles, and things like that, things they can eat straight away, crisp. But we also give them toiletries as well, and things like that. So we've got a big supply of those, and our members were fantastic last week. Our congregation gave a wonderful display of harvest things. So that was great. So that's really stocked our food bank for a while. So,
Do you do a collection for furniture and big items?
Big items, we can take bigger items. We are limited with space, so sometimes we're just so full we're going to say sorry. We're just people are very generous to us, and we for donations for clothing and all those things we're never short. And people knit and do scarves and things like that. It's wonderful, and especially at this time of year when it's getting colder. We'll give out the sleeping bags and tents sometimes. We have a stock of those. And very sad that people still need those, but if they get caught if they end up here and the council can't help them, we'll try and make it as safe as possible.
Can't imagine how you sleep out.
No, you count your blessings, don't you, really? You do count your blessings. Yeah. Thank you very much. Is there any more?
Thank you, Chris. I guess if you ask the same question now that you asked at the beginning, about the Salvation Army, the whole group would have something to say. Good. We haven't got time for that. I always remember my godmother. I mentioned her last time. when we had the Witches of Wales, and her name was Ellen. And they used to run a shoe shop. And every Sunday evening, the Salvation Army would come and play outside of the shoe shop. And, you know, you throw money down into the bucket. So, as a 7 or 8 year old, it was a lasting memory, and you always remember what the Salvation Army do, how long they've been around, and how long they've been around doing it. And I'm sure we would all agree. This evening's presentation was very informative, and I think we will, if you didn't know before, I think you look at what they do in a completely different light. So thank you, Chris, very much. Now, where's Hayden? Oh, here he is. You turn the other lights on, please, Charlotte.
Hold it against me, but
Yellow tickets.
751 to 755.
Yeah, ticket.
Yeah.
751 to 755.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's me.
That wasn't planned. That wasn't planned. You can hear me later.
Isabel, choose something for me, but not the eggs. I brought them.
Next one, the white one, 936 to 940, white. Take it, and bring it in. Thank you. Yellow one, 821825, yellow. 821. Red over there. Red, can you just choose one up over, please? Yeah,